that brings us to Rosh Hashanah then. The Mishnah Berurah and the Shofar. One of something that really, I guess I mentioned this before, that really excited me a few years ago was the proposition that, if you look in the Gemara, you look in the Poskim, uh, we've been tricked and deceived into blowing the shofar way too many times. Kabbalistic practice is to blow 100 blasts, and therefore a real strain on the Baal Tekiah. It makes the davening go longer. That you have to wait until davening's over just to hear 40 more blasts, and they already blew 30 blasts during Chazar Sashatz. I've never been in a minyan where they blow the shofar during the silent Shemon Esrei. And just discussing about this, there was a severe backlash by basically ignorami about this, saying like you have to blow 100. Anything else is just unacceptable. And it was completely oblivious to the sugya. And there's a whole chain of basically every posek, every rishon, except for the aruch and the ari and the shla. Which, by the way, the ari and shla aren't saying this halacha. The shla says you could still stick to the old minhag. He just likes the 100 blast because you get all these kavanas. We saw the shar kavanas where the Ari talks about need 30, 30, 30 to get over the Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah, Gilu Rayos, and Shvichus Damim. But that's not what Chazal said you have to do. We follow the way the Gaonim, the Rif, the Rambam, everybody else has said. You blow 30, and then you have to hear a Seder, which is a Tekiah, a Trua, and a Tekiah, as part of every major bracha of Shemon Esrei, the three brachas. A Seder is just a Trua, Tekiah, and a Trua, or a Trua, Shvarm Trua, or when I said Trua, I meant the general Trua. So they would basically just blow 40 blasts. That's the Sephardic tradition. That's what the way the Shulchan Aruch has Ikra Din. And everybody who's Ashkenazic ever since Rabbeinu Tam, we follow the list. It's Rabbeinu Tam, and that's the Rush. And then therefore it's the Tur, and the Ramah says it. The Chayodim has it this way. And of course the Mishnah Berurah has it this way. The Vilna Gaon had it this way. You blow 42. And it's kind of funny that I thought that the fact that this practice, this old Ashkenazic practice, which is found in every single Ashkenazic book, and until the advent of Birnbaum and Art Scroll, was what appeared in all the Machzorim. Goldschmidt Machzor basically is the last one to be printed with this. It's from the 20th century. He's a scholar from Bnei Brak who put this out. So this is something that basically Art Scroll adopted Minhag Volozhin, sounding 100 blasts. And suddenly, it becomes something like, oh, Gewalt, if you're not doing it, you're a kofer, You're Grossman who doesn't keep Hilchos Nida and Kashrus in his house. So that's a terrible thing. But what most people are unaware of, and here I thought was the most oblivious aspect of this, was these people love the Mishnah Berurah. That's their Posek Acharon. My Chavrus is showing me. Then you see the new Dirshu, the new Mishnah Berurah edition with footnotes. Okay, great. The footnotes are great. The Mishnah Berurah mentions that the Shla says blow 100 blasts. He says it at the end. He mentions it. But earlier he says, to get to the 100 blasts, you have to blow during silent Shemon Esrei. And that should not be done. Okay, the Mishnah Berurah says it very clearly. That is not what you're supposed to do, and that's not our minhag. And then he mentions again, the Shla gets to 100 blasts, and then he continues with the Pri Megadim that we stick to our minhag. We are not Lashanos. Ain Lashanos, the minhag we're discussing, which is 42. The Ramah allows for 72. Ramah somehow threw in an extra 30 at the end. He says you can't blow more than that. Ein litkoach chinam, which means he said, well, Ramah, what if I want to get to 100? He'd be scratching her head. I already added 30. Why are you trying to add another 28? So if you're a proud Ashkenazic Jew, and I've been told, someone told me 99% of Kehilas do it this way, just like the Art Scroll. I beg to differ with that. You should know I didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings, but he only has been davening in places where they just do exactly like the Art Scroll. There are other places he has not been to. It's like when the guy, they left out the Shir Shel Yom of the Gra, which is a very common practice in Yerushalayim. They left it out of their new siddur. I told him, hey, you left it out. The previous edition of the siddur had it. He says, well, no one says that. I don't ever saw it. Because he davens in his own bubble. I was surprised. Where's he davening? Has he ever stepped foot into a shul in Jerusalem before? On Rosh Chodesh? Or on any Yontif? You know what they do in Or Sameach, right? They say in Or Sameach, right? Okay, wherever they do. Where are you wearing yeshiva?
Oraita.
Oraita? Okay, at Oraita they do it also, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so he's totally unaware of this. You should just know proper Yekish Binyanim, proper Yemenite Minyanim, proper Litvak Minyanim, proper Vilna Gaon Minyanim, and any place where they're just Ashkenazic and they haven't adopted all these Kabbalistic minhagim because they're aware that perhaps the fact that the Rabbi Akiva Eiger and the Gra and the Pri Megadim were opposed to the adoption of all these practices when they were new, I've been signed out. What do you mean? No, I'm still here. Okay. They're telling me I'm signed out of Zoom, but I still see I'm in Zoom. It's been so surprising, but this was the funniest one. I never realized to what extent the Mishnah Berurah himself endorses this practice, the old 42, and with a single word, single line, in two places, denies this adoption of this 100 kolos practice. I'm sure if the people who are aware of this, like it says, you have to blow 100, and they're so fearsome about it that they're willing to try to destroy other people for it, should at least know what the Mishnah Berurah believes.
We would like to encourage our viewers to share these videos with friends and send in your responses. If you would like to obtain Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael or invite the rabbi for a speaking engagement, please email us at office@machonshilo.org.